Watching TV has changed over time. Streaming has become the new norm. That's why Golden State Media Concepts television podcast dives headfirst to the world of cord cutting. Want to be on the loop of what's hot in Netflix? Or if it's not a preference, what about original shows in Hulu? We've got you covered. Join us as we fill in the blank and talk about movies to stream and what show you should be binging. This is the Golden State Media Concepts television podcast.
Hello, and thank you for tuning into the GSMC television podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jennifer. And for the past couple of episodes, we have been discussing real people shows that have been violent and awesome at the same time. But for this week's session, we are going to be discussing cartoons. Yes, series that are for your children and for adults too, because I am an adult and I love cartoons. I love anime and I love Disney shows, and occasionally I'll like even the little kid shows. Mostly because, well, some of them are about princesses. Like I used to like stuff like Sophia the First or Elena of Avalor, but those are beside the point. Today we will be discussing a show that I really have enjoyed. It's celebrating its second season right now. It's called Amphibia. Now, the series features a number of characters created by Matt Barley. The series centers on Anne Boomchoy, who opens a mysterious music box that transports herself and her friends to the world of Amphibia. Anne is adopted by the Planters, the adventurous Sprig, who is like one of the main characters. He's the older brother of the feisty Polly, and they're both being taken care of by Hop Hop. As they go on various adventures and face numerous dangers, Anne's human friends, including Sasha and Marcy, much of the show revolves around Anne interacting with the residents of Wartwood, which is the town made mainly up of frogs. That's right, Amphibia is like this alternate world where it's inhabited mainly by frogs, toads, and newts that basically all can talk English. The other animals that live there are like, well, giant bugs or giant birds, basically like the enemies or the food of frogs' big form. And, well, Anne's main goal is to basically get home. The only way they think they can get home is by recharging the gems on the music box, which we found out during the sort of middle of the second season. And she also has to make, well, amends with Sasha, because during the last time we saw Sasha, her and Anne, they were fighting because Sasha wanted to, like, rule over the world, but Anne just wants to be friends with the frogs. And so Sasha and her had their huge fight and went their separate ways. But during second season, Anne found Marcy in Newtopia, which they went to basically to figure out how the music box worked. And it turned out that Marcy had made friends with the king, which is like this giant newt. Now, he seems to have some secrets going on, so that's interesting, and we don't know what's going to happen as a result of the whole series. I'm curious to see if they ever manage to get back, or if they ever manage to make amends first step, because Sasha, she needs to learn to be humble, and that Anne is not someone she can just push around, because it seemed like their relationship was more like Anne was Sasha's sidekick more than her friend at times, because Sasha was telling her what to do. Sasha was even the one who told Anne to steal the music box. They didn't actually pay for it. So that's a bit of a toxic relationship, and the two of them really need to get kind of in a sync where they aren't toxic for one another. Now, before I go into telling you what the episode that I just watched was about, let's discuss the voice actors. Anne is played by Brenda Song, Sprig is played by Justin Feldberg, and Hop Hop, Bill Farmer, and Polly, Amanda Langton. Now, that's the typical main cast, because Sprig is the oldest brother, Hop Hop is the one in charge, Polly is the little sister, and Anne is, well, sometimes they refer to her as their pet, but she's just one of the best characters. Sasha, as I mentioned before, is played by Anna Akana. And we've also got Marcy, who's played by Haley Tidju. And then there's a lot of other characters in the series. But mostly it's all about Anne and Sprig and their families' crazy hijinks. Now, most recently, they just returned from Newtopia because they found out about how to charge the gems. They need to go to temples to charge them. And when they go to those temples, they face various challenges and stuff. But that is not what these episodes were about. So, each one of the episodes of Amphibia has basically 2 episodes in one episode as a whole. And each one of those lasts like 12 minutes. So the first one for this one was called basically Toad to Redemption, which is kind of like changing it from Road to Redemption to Toad. And I was like, no, this is not... I thought it was going to be all about Sasha redeeming herself, but it turns out it was actually about the mayor redeeming himself, because ever since they had their little escape from Toad Tower, they thought that maybe... Well, he's starting to think maybe he likes it here, which is interesting, because Mayor Toadstool, he's kind of like a stereotypical politician. He's played by Stephen Root, and his assistant's name is Toady, and he's played by Jack McBriar. And yeah, basically, I think that these are good characters when you get to their heart, but Mayor Toadstool was offered a job to become the new Toad of Toad Tower, once they rebuilt it, that is. And he's like thinking that because of that he has to leave Wartwood, but he likes it there. So the whole episode is about basically trying to figure out a way for him not to get accepted as that role. So he insists that Anne help him, and they try to help him. First, by showing that he's a coward, that blew up. Or maybe showing that he is incompetent, also blew up. But when it came time for him to move, who comes back to try and invade the town? One of the toads that they fought at Toad Tower, his name is Bog, and he and some other toads were trying to just like terrorize the town. But Mayor Toadstool actually cared enough to try and stop this with the help of the town. And seeing this, well, if you want to find out what happens, you'll have to watch the episode. Because I personally liked it. And I liked seeing the characters be in a different likeness. Seeing Mayor Toadstool actually not want to lose his job was kind of interesting. Anyway, the second episode, I liked it more because it was more about stuff that I really like, because it was all about Maddie, who's one of the local frogs. She's played by Jill Bartlett, and she is basically like a character in the series who, she likes to practice witchcraft apparently, and well, practicing witchcraft has become like the main center of her life, and it's been like a hobby. So she's not had time for her sisters, Rosemary, Ginger, and Lavender, which I did not know about her even having sisters because of the fact that, well, they didn't really focus on that. Because, well, it's not really the main focus of the show to characterize on the side characters. There's actually a funny joke in the episode. They were like saying, isn't it weird how when the main characters aren't featured in the episode, Sprig and Anne were saying, and then Sprig was like, I don't miss him that much. I thought that was funny because of the irony of that statement. Anyway, so the main plot of this episode was that Maddie was trying to bring back a flea to life for one of the citizens of Wartwood, and in the midst of it, her siblings were like, play with us, juggle us, and she's like, why don't you just grow up and leave me alone? Because that's why I don't want to hang out with you, because you're so little. They are literally still tadpoles. Polly's still a tadpole. And the way that they move around when they're tadpoles, they just basically hop. It's kind of cute, actually. So they run off and get upset about it. And meanwhile, Marcy saw her, and she's like, I want to be a witch too. So Marcy becomes like Maddie's apprentice, and they spend a good portion of the episode trying to find the ingredients to make up for the fact that, well, when she got mad at her siblings, they retaliated by not accidentally spilling her potion, so she needed to remake it. And it was pretty cool, but then because she told them to grow up, they're like, if we make ourselves grow up, then she'll want to play with us again. So they steal her spell book, and as a result, they grow up, but not grow up. They kind of become bigger, but not older. So that doesn't help. So now it's up to Maddie and Marcy to fix this problem before her sisters explode. And that basically is what the episode's about. And like I said, I liked this episode more, because it was a lot more interesting. It might be just my love of witchcraft and witchery. But yeah, it was a lot more interesting. And I really like Amphibia. It's only gotten 2 seasons in right now, but it's been really cool. And I can't wait to find out what happens as the series progresses. There are still a couple more episodes that are coming out before the end of this season, which will be premiering May 1st. The next episodes are called The Second Temple, Beryl's Warm Hammer, and then the next one will be Bessie, Michelangelo, and the Third Temple, which is good, The Dinner, Battle of the Bands, and finally True Colors. Now, as I told you earlier, the temples are used to power the gems that are on the music box. So once they get all these gems charged, well, then the girls can go back to their world. I think that Anne's gonna miss her frog family when she has to go back, so that'll be a problem. Also, she has to get friends again with Sasha. Sasha probably wants to go home too, but they really need to apologize. Well, Anne didn't really do anything wrong, but Sasha really does need to apologize. They need to really become friends again. Because Sasha can change, I hope. Her personality is more like one of those annoying, mean teenagers that's like also a cheerleader. I don't know if she actually is one. I don't think Anne ever said it. But we've got to really kind of mend their friendship. Anyway, that is what I think needs to happen before the end of the season. At least mending of the friendship. Or maybe the season will end with them going out to look for Sasha. Because they found Marcy, but now they have to find Sasha. So, the second temple will probably be interesting because our first temple was interesting. I have no idea what Beryl's Warhammer is going to be about. Bessie is the name of their snail, which is like, when it comes to pulling carts, which are like their cars, they use a snail to pull it instead of a horse, which is kind of interesting idea. Then they have the third temple. And by then everything will be charged and stuff. So it's like, what are they going to do after that? I don't know. It's going to be real interesting. All these different episodes. I don't want anything bad to happen to any of the characters, even Sasha. Because, well, the episode when she and Grimes, which is like this soldier toad, were bonding, that was a good episode. But as a result of that episode, they said maybe we should be in charge. Like the toads in charge instead of the newts. So that could create a problem. I don't know what's going to happen. But I hope that everything turns out okay. Anyway, that sums it up for Amphibia. When we come back, we're going to be discussing another great show called Big City Greens, which is also celebrating its only second season, and it's been pretty good. I don't like it as much as Amphibia, which is why I talked about Amphibia first. And, well, it's going to be fun to talk about it. Until then, I hope you all enjoy these commercials, and I will see you back here in a few. Bye!
Want to know the latest and hottest music hitting the airwaves? Don't be left out. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Music Podcast. Keith keeps you on the loop with everything you need to know from pop, rock, hip-hop, and the top 40. And we'll throw in news of your favorite artists, concert and tour dates, and so much more. Listen no further, because this is the gold standard in music podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the GSMC Television Podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer, and we were talking about earlier the great show that is Amphibia. Now we're going to talk about another show called Big City Greens that is also celebrating its second season. It is on Disney Channel, and it is also a really good show. Basically, the show is about this little farm family called the Greens who have just moved from the country to this big city. And, well, the reason why they had to move was because, well, their farm was running out of business, so they moved to big city and are living with their grandmother. And there's a lot of fun characters. For example, my personal favorite character is Tilly Green, who is the older sister in the crew. The person who plays Tilly is Marvie Harrington, and Tilly is kind of an eccentric. She's funny and cute and adorable, but she sees the world in a weird kind of way, but it's a cute weird. And it's a cute weird in the fact that she's like adorable in every aspect of the word. And another character is called Cricket Green, and he's kind of the mischievous little brother, and he's played by Chris Honkton. And Cricket he has his moments. There are some episodes where I really like his character, other episodes where he starts out being kind of annoying and a jerk, so I don't like his character, but he redeems himself. It's really kind of a series where he learns a lot of lessons, and Tilly also learns some lessons. It's really is a good show. And Bill Green is their dad, and he's played by Bob Jules. And then the grandma Alice is played by Artemis Pedani. And yeah, they're all pretty cool characters. And I really like their character development and how at first it wasn't really my favorite series, but now it's kind of growing on me. And I like all the cast members. There are other characters besides the four members of the family. And the series was created by the Hogtown Brothers that premiered it on Disney Channel on June 18th, 2018. That's why it's got 2 seasons right now. And the series features the voices of Chris Hogtown, which means that one of the creators' brothers is actually the one who plays Cricket, which I thought was pretty cool when I found that out. And it's very cute series. I like all the different hijinks that the characters go through. Which brings us to our next topic of this particular part. Okay, so this particular episode, so just like Amphibia, this series has like 2 episodes per episode. And the first episode called Cousin Jilly, it turns out that Tilly had kind of noticed that when Cricket and her were little, Cricket was he got bored very easily, and he needed a friend on the farm. So she invented Cousin Jilly, which was really just her in disguise. And the disguise is kind of obvious. It's just her wearing sunglasses and acting a bit more cool than normal. And so when Cricket was talking about Cousin Jilly, she was like, maybe I should bring Jilly back. Or should I tell Cricket that it was me? Seeing how happy Cousin Jilly made Cricket, she was like, okay, I'm gonna try it for one more day. And it couldn't hurt. So they try and play together, but Cricket's like, hey, Tilly, you come and play with us too. So now she has to not only pretend to be Jilly, but she also has to be herself, Tilly, which can create problems. Also on the side, well, the grandmother, Alice, can be kind of rude sometimes. And this particular episode, she was being rude towards Nancy, which is Tilly and Cricket's mom. Well, Cricket and parents... Well, you see, Nancy and Bill have been, divorced for a while, but Nancy's still around in the life because she's no longer in jail. And she had been put in jail just for basically releasing animals from cruelty or from a slaughterhouse, and yeah. So, she doesn't live with them. She lives in her own little trailer. So that's why the grandmother was like, you're just a guest. You don't need to be in here and messing up my symmetry and kicking off your shoes and stuff. So she's just like, you're a guest, which then Nancy was like, well, that means you're the host, so you need to treat me like a guest, and that means do everything for me. So that was her taking advantage of the grandma. And so basically that's what this episode was about. And yeah, I liked the episode. It was funny to see Tilly try and be 2 people at once. And then Cricket comes to the conclusion that Tilly and Jilly are never around at the same time. So he's like, well, that needs to change. Y'all need to get along because I love both of you. So he tries to make them talk to each other and stuff, but this is hard for Tilly since Jilly doesn't exist. So what's she gonna do? She has to tell Cricket the truth. Will she be able to? And what will happen between Grandma and Nancy? Well, you're just gonna have to watch the episode to find out. Because I'm not telling. And I liked the episode. And then the next episode is called Gloria's Cafe. See, Gloria is another character in the series, and she is played by Anna Akana. And, well, basically, you see, in the past couple of episodes, at first, when we first met Gloria, she was just, the assistant manager at Big Coffee, which is this place where Cricket had basically destroyed by accident, and so he was forced to work there for a while, but then it went out of business because of Chip, who was trying to get revenge on the Greens for all the hijinks they put him through. And so then at first it was this burger clown, but that stopped being a thing, and so now it's like a vacant lot, and she wants to get a loan, Gloria does, so she goes to the bank to try and present it, but they don't give her the loan. So she's just wondering, what's she going to do? She really wants to accomplish her dream, and then she notices that the Big Coffee building is still there, and, well, she gets in her head that maybe they should have a secret Big Coffee. And they make it kind of like a rundown Paris theme. And it's going good until the parents stumble across it, and, well, they start thinking that maybe it's kind of bad for her to hide the coffee place, so they are trying to convince her that she needs to show it off and stuff. And meanwhile, the police officer, Keys, he's trying to figure out where the coffee sign went, because Bill had made her a sign for a coffee place, and, well, if he finds out that this is an illegal coffee place, then he can shut her down and everything can go bad for poor Gloria. And after losing, like, so many different jobs, first she lost a big coffee job, then she lost her job as a person at Wholesome Foods, which was the place where Chip worked. And then she lost her job at the... well, she lost her job at the Burger Clown. And, well, she also used to work at this animation place. I don't know what happened to that job because, I mean, I thought she was still working there. That was featured in another episode. So, it's sad for her because all she really wants is to get enough money to go to Paris and accomplish her dream. She's like fresh out of college, art college and everything. So it's complicated. We don't know what's going to happen in this episode. Well, I do because I finished watching it. So until then, we just have to keep on trying to figure out what to do. So that is the episode, and I found out what happens, and let me tell you, the ending is so cute and wholesome. I like it a lot. So if you want to find out what the ending is, you're going to have to watch it. And yeah, I am looking forward to more episodes of Big City Greens. But I don't know if there are going to be more episodes, because I was looking online, and it just says that the episodes are Cousin Jilly and Gloria's Cafe. And it doesn't say anything else about more new episodes after that. And that makes me be like, what? I thought there would be more episodes. So, that's sad. I thought that there were supposed to be new episodes of Big City Greens and Amphibia premiering every Saturday. But no new episodes of Big City Greens. At least that's what online says. It could be wrong, because you know how online people can get stuff wrong. But either way, that is the thought. And I personally am hoping that it is wrong, because I would like more episodes of the series, because I like to see Tilly's hijinks. I like to see hijinks from Cricket, even though he's not my favorite character. And I like to see Alice and Bill and, of course, Nancy and Gloria. Those are all my favorite characters. There are also a lot of side characters in the series, like Remy, who is Cricket's best friend, and there's also other characters in the series, like, this is interesting, Raven Simone plays, like, a newscaster woman, and that's pretty cool. There's also a lot of shorts that they have that show on Disney Channel, like when Cricket plays prank calls on people in Big City, or even people from other television series, and I just think that that's funny. So I want more of the series, but if this is it, I guess I'll just have to wait. I can survive without new episodes. I just want new episodes. That's kind of like what you do with a lot of television shows, when you want new episodes, but there isn't going to be one because the creators can't. Whether it's because of COVID in this particular situation, or because they don't have any ideas at this particular time. I think it's probably a combination of both right now. But hey, it's not that easy to come up with new stories, especially for a show that's kind of just as random as this show is. Like, it's really random. Sometimes it's just mostly about the hijinks that these characters come up with. Mostly Cricket, because he's like the fun, adorable part of the series. And I like him. But we don't know if any of this is going to be, well, on the good side or anything like that. So what we gotta do is wonder if it's going to be a series where it continues, or if it's going to have no new episodes for a long time. Personally, I hope that it has new episodes soon, but if it doesn't, then we'll just have to figure it out later. And until then, we just gotta watch our show and wait for new episodes. I guess I'll just have to find a new show to watch until then. And along with Amphibia, of course. So, that is basically the Big City Greens episode for this week, and the new episode of Amphibia. And, personally, As always, I think that Amphibia is better than Big City Greens, but that doesn't mean I dislike Big City Greens. No, au contraire. I've grown to really enjoy its hijinks and its cuteness. And I think that one of my favorite episodes has actually been, I really liked the Christmas one because it really showed another side of Cricket, showed that he can be less selfish, and I also like the fact that it was a musical episode. I like musicals. They're fun. In fact, when I was celebrating Easter, I watched Jesus Christ Superstar, and that was a lot of fun to do. So whenever there's a musical in a series, that's the one I like the most. But either way, until there's a new episode of Big City Greens, I'm just going to have to enjoy Amphibia, which is okay because I really like Amphibia. Now, we're going to go on a break soon. When we come back, we'll be discussing another new show that has just come up on Disney Channel. And it's a good show. It's called 101 Dalmatian Street, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying the hijinks, and I'm enjoying the 11 episodes that have premiered. But since it's me and I don't have that much patience, I went online to see if I couldn't find it, and it turns out that the entire first season is on Disney Plus. So what I did was I watched the whole series except for the last 2 episodes, which I'm going to watch in a few minutes, and then tell you what I thought of them. And I'll also tell you my favorite episodes and why they're my favorite episodes. That, I think, will be a great way to sort of wrap up this particular episode of our cartoons roundup. Because cartoons are fun. They're good for your children, especially ones that have lessons, and they're also good for you to just kind of watch and not have to worry too much because they aren't going to have too many bad violence. In other words, they just mostly have adorable little funny moments for children to watch. Anyway, until then, I hope you all enjoy the commercials and have a good day. I will see you in a few. Until then, enjoy yourself and bye!
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Hello and welcome back to GSMC Television Podcast. I am your host, Jennifer. Previously, we were talking about Big City Greens' newest episode and Amphibia's newest episode. Now, we will be discussing another new series on Disney+. It is called 101 Dalmatian Street. Basically, it is a British-Canadian animated television series developed by Anto Harlin and Lunas Utah that aired on Disney Channel in the UK and Ireland from March 18th, 2019 to February 22nd, 2020, and released on Disney Plus in Canada and the United States on February 28, 2020. It later premiered on Disney XD in the United States on March 29th, 2021. It is produced by Passion Animation Studios and Atomic Cartoons, and features the voices of Josh Bernard and Michelle Dietz. It is loosely based on the 1956 novel The 101 Dalmatians by Dodie Smith and its film franchise. It is the second television series, followed 101 Dalmatians, the series, to be based on the franchise. The series is set almost 60 years after the original 1961 film, 101 Dalmatians, and follows a large family of 101 Dalmatians who live at the titled address in Camden Town, London. Basically, they live in 101 Dalmatian Street, which I thought was pretty interesting. It is a good show. I think it's adorable. I think the main reason why I like it so much is because the puppies are so cute! My favorite puppy is Dolly, played by Michelle Dietz. She's like the oldest sister, and she's funny and cute, and she likes to do skateboards, and she also has crushes on two different dogs later on in the series. And then the other older brother is named Dylan, and he's played by Josh Bernard, and they really don't have any owners. More like they are just living off of the Triple D's salary, which is like these triplets that they are in the family. And their names are Destiny, Dallas, and Deja Vu. Yeah, all the puppies in this series and all the Dalmatians all have D names. Even the parents, Dahlia and Doug, which are played by Ella Kinnon and Rashanan Stone. And all of the different puppies are so cute. There are different ones that are really just adorable. Like, I like, Diesel is like the little puppy who likes to dig a lot, and that's kind of funny. Dallas is one of Triple D's. And then there's also Dorkins, who is like the smarter one of the characters. Dylan is really kind of a nerd puppy, and well, Dorkins is also a bit of a nerd. He likes to invent and fix stuff. Even he is put in charge sometimes of the puppies when Dylan and Dolly are doing their own things, which I thought was pretty neat. Dorothy is like the youngest puppy. She doesn't even have her spots yet. And then there's also another puppy I really like is well, Dante's kind of funny. He's like this one who always keeps predicting that there's going to be the end of the world crisis and we should all be terrified and petrified. I think that that's kind of a funny aspect of his character. There's also a Da Vinci one that likes to do art, and there's DJ who likes to do music and stuff. And well, there's so many puppies that I couldn't name them all because there's literally 101 all living in this one house. And then there are also other characters in the show, like Roxy's Dolly's best friend. There is Snowball, who's another one of Dolly's friends, and she's a cute little puppy dog. And then there's also other characters that are real interesting. And I think that the series is really cool. And it definitely deserves praise for its character development and also for the lessons that some of the characters learn. Like, Dylan learns not to be so uptight some episodes, and then there's other times when Dolly learns that it's better to be herself than to pretend to be someone else. And so, yeah, it is really cool. That is so much fun to watch these series and just like enjoy seeing new characters on shows that I love, because I always loved 101 Dalmatians the movie, and now I'm seeing a series all about the characters. It's just cute. And like I said before, it was originally just something I was watching on Disney Channel, and then I looked on Disney Plus, and what do I know? The whole season is on Disney Plus, so I watched it, and then I now know what it happens at the end of this series. Well, the end of the season. I don't know if there's going to be a second season or not. I kind of hope there is because it's really cute. Anyway, so the first episode we're going to talk about is Dante's Inferno. Like I was saying, Dante likes to predict the end of the world. And he was doing it in a way that, well, none of his predictions were coming true. So all the other puppies were laughing at him, and so Dolly and Dylan were like thinking, maybe we should just pretend that his predictions are coming true so that he won't be in his slump because he was all sad, and puppies should not be sad because they're so cute. And no puppies, when they're sad, they just want to do anything to make them happy. So basically what they did was they made his predictions. Anytime something bad he predicted, they made it come true. Like, first he predicted that no one would play with him. His two younger sisters, Dizzy and this other one, were gonna play with him, but then Dolly's like, but he's got fleas, and they're like, ew! So they run away. And then his next prediction was when he saw Dylan cleaning the bowls, because, well, basically they're intelligent enough to clean and make machines and be themselves. It's kind of fun. Because it's a dog's world. We can understand the dogs, and the humans, well, we don't understand that much, but they interact and stuff. And so he predicted that there was going to be an end to the world because he saw Hunter's cat. Now, let me do some background. Hunter is the great nephew of Cruella de Vil. Now, you all know who Cruella de Vil is. She was wanting to capture Pongo and Perdita's puppies so that he could turn them into a fabulous Dalmatian fur coat. Now, a couple of episodes before, Hunter had been going after the pups and trying to get the fur coat to Cruella. And, well, in the last time we saw him, they had basically outwitted him and trapped him inside this crate, and so he's been in that crate for 6 months, and because of that, he's gone all loopy and thinks he's a dog sometimes. So that's funny, but because he's on the prowl and coming to abduct the puppies and stuff, well, we gotta wonder, how are they gonna survive this? And when they see that that's actually a thing, they have to outwit Hunter. And it's really funny to see how they end up outwitting him, and it's it's really cool. But I thought this was interesting, how Hunter can now understand the puppies because he's become all half dog, half human in a way. And his fur is, well, his hair is now really long and stuff. And so then at the end of the episode, they've outwitted Hunter, and Dylan's like, I almost cost the family their freedom and their lives because I didn't listen to Dante. So now I'm going to listen to him more often. And now they're on lockdown because they all know that Hunter's related to Cruella, and they know that he's going to come back. So that was basically the episode before. Now the next episode is called the Better the DeVille You Know. Because, well, during this whole time, Hunter has been communicating with Cruella, and we know that that means that she's going to come to the series and be shown. And that can be a problem because Cruella de Vil is not someone that you can easily handle. I mean, the only reason that Pongo and Perdita got away was because they had help of other dogs, and they disguised themselves as Labradors and just ran away, and they had the help of their humans. Well, these dogs don't have humans, and so how are they going to survive Cruella if she comes? Well, better to deal with Hunter than that. So, basically, because of that, Doug was like saying, I'm going to protect the house. We're going to have it on lockdown. But Dylan's like, but I have to help too. I want to make sure that everything goes well. So he basically ends up protecting the family too. And because of that, well, he becomes paranoid. He doesn't sleep well. And, well, he's doing a good job. But there's this one time when Hunter almost got the pups because he pretended to be the mailman, and that was scary. So to a point where the parents are like, we need to go out to the country. So we're going to go out to the country. In the meantime, Dylan, you're in charge, and you're going to keep security and stuff. So he basically tries to prevent Hunter from getting a hold of the younger pups. And I thought this was funny. At one point, Hunter was trying to get him with a rope, but he got a plant thanks to Dylan, and the plant went on top of him. And I thought this was funny how they kept calling him Mr. Funny Pants, Hunter. And yeah, it was a really good episode. But because Hunter now can understand dogs, he overheard them say that they were going to go on a bus, so he ties up the bus driver, and when all the pups get onto the bus, he's like trying to stuff them into a sack and do a thing where he just basically gives them all to Cruella and stuff. But then Dylan notices that Hunter is overcome by the squeaky toy he sees. So he's like, I must have the squeaky toy. So Dylan kind of throws the squeaky toy and Hunter runs after the squeaky toy. And that's basically where it ends, where they've all eluded Hunter again and everything seems okay and cool. They have now eluded the crazy nephew. But like I said, because Hunter has been talking to Cruella on the sidelines, this means that Cruella's going to be in the series now, and I don't know how well the pups are going to do against Cruella. They don't have owners, they don't have... Well, they do have the assistance of other dogs in the series because they do still do the Twilight bark, although they call it the Worldwide Wolf instead of the Worldwide Web. It's a pun and it's funny. But either way, we have to hope and pray that they're going to do well against Cruella because if they don't, they'll be turned into a fur coat. On a side note, I don't like fur coats. I don't want to wear an animal's fur. I'm not a vegetarian or anything, but it just seems wrong to wear something that was once on an animal and the fact that the animal had to die to give it to him. And it's just like, no. Especially not adorable little puppies and dogs and cats or anything. Like, I saw the original other 101 Dalmatian movies. Like, I saw the Real People one, I saw 102, I saw 101 Dalmatians 2, and they were all really good episodes. But every time, Cruella just keeps getting worse and worse, and to a point where you're just worried that she's going to win. So I'm scared for the pups. I'm scared for all of the characters because Hunter was enough of a problem, and the only reason they beat him was because he had dog brain. So how are they going to beat someone like Cruella? Are they going to even be able to stand on their own paws? I hope so, because I don't want to see any dogs get turned into a coat. No, thank you. I'm more of a cat person technically, but still the idea of seeing puppy dogs be turned into a giant fur coat for a crazy lady who doesn't even drive in the speed limit or well sounds like a bad idea. So yeah, no, I don't want to see that. But I have to watch the next episode and I'm curious and I'm excited to see it. I just hope everything turns out well because I don't want to see any of these characters, like, get killed or hurt. They're just all such cute little puppy dogs. And when you look at their little puppy dog faces and the Dalmatian, and they're so cute. Oh, I like all of these characters, and I love this show. I'm glad that it was on Disney Plus so I could finish watching it. I didn't have to, like, wait for every episode to premiere on Disney Channel. But maybe if I had waited, then I would have had more of a watching it as it progressed on the television instead of like binge watching it all at once. But when you've got Disney Plus, you take advantage of that situation. Anyway, the next episode is called DeVille Wears Puppies. In other words, it's all about her trying to abduct the puppies. So, will she succeed or will she fail? Find out after this commercial break. Until then, I hope you enjoy yourself, and I will see you later. Bye!
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now. Don't bother. What's hot on Netflix and everything in between. That's GSMCpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Hello and welcome back to the GSMC Television Podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer. Before the break, we were discussing 101 Dalmatian Street, which is this adorable show all about 101 Dalmatians Next Generation. And because it's like a show that's all about kind of little shorts and stuff, I watched the entire series, and I think I know what I want to judge as my favorite episode. So, first, my favorite out of the top 5, I'm going to do 5 of my favorites, and I'll start with my least favorite. This one is called, it's really a cute episode, and it's basically called Winter Funderland, where basically at first they thought that it was going to snow, but it turned out just to be rain. So then Dolly's like, well, why don't we create snow inside? So they had like this fun little snow day inside of their house, which the parents never find out about because they kind of melt the snow, and it's funny. I think that that's really cute, the idea of having snow day inside. That's adorable. Another episode that I really liked was this 2-parter, and it was really cute because it was like a summer to remember. Basically, at first it started out like you thought it was going to be a musical because there was a song at the beginning, but it really just was them going on vacation. And while there, Dylan meets this adorable dog, which is so cute to have him be shipped with someone. And he judges the locals thinking that they're going to be ruffians and stuff, and he doesn't think that the cow is going to be mean, but it turns out that the cow is a jerk in the entire series. I mean, she basically, puts a hole in their boat. She also, knocks their bus down and cuts the rope that they were trying to use to get back their parents when their parents had, sacrificed themselves to get the puppies back onto the road, not falling on the into basically the water. Like they were gonna fall into the ocean. But they're okay because they fell into the water, but they got to a little island. So when they all were heading home, he's telling the dog that, I'm sorry, I misjudged everything. And I thought that was really cute how he learned his lesson. The next episode is called London, We Have a Problem. Basically, Hunter is introduced in this episode as basically being a big threat. So he basically was trying to find a way in to the puppy's house, and the best way he could find a way in was to use Dylan's love of science to do it, and he kind of had the opportunity to get all the puppies. He had captured the youngest, who's Dorothy, and he can't even talk yet and has no spots. So he was gonna suck them all up. But then Dylan was able to save them all, and it was really cute to see that kind of problem being a thing. And also another episode, this is number 4, is called is all about Da Vinci, which is the puppy who likes to do art. See, they were running low on money, so they basically had to use Da Vinci's art technique, but they were making basically just do the same thing over and over onto these t-shirts and making it seem like it was some humans doing it instead of her, which is a puppy. And she got kind of sad about that. And this is actually how Hunter found out where they lived. He first was getting himself a guest at Triple D's photo shoot, and then he got their DNA to find out they were related to Pongo and Perdita. And so basically, he found out where they lived thanks to the stuff that Da Vinci was doing. In the end, Dolly and Dylan all apologized to Da Vinci and let her paint the wall that they got refurbished with her money. And so that was really cute and nice of them. The last one, which I wrote as number 1, is My Fair Dolly. I loved it so much because it reminded me of My Fair Lady, which is a great musical I love. In it, Dolly is wanting to prove to Clarissa, which is this next door corgi that lives next to the Dalmatians, who's always so prim and proper, and she's like saying how she is better because she has an owner that pampers her every will. So Dolly's like, I can be prim and proper. So she gets herself all dolled up. She resists the urge to do non-proper things that a dog would do, and she also has a human, and they both enter a dog show. And then she realized that she's starting to act like a pet, and that's not Dolly. She's not gonna give a bad example for her brothers and sisters, because two of the sisters were thinking that maybe they should start acting like Dolly, saying like, Frou, you must all be more like me and be all tough and snooty and stuff. So Dolly's like, no, I can't do that. I can't be this way anymore, because that's not me. I love to play fetch. I love to be all rowdy and play with my skateboard. So I really liked how she learned the lesson that it's better to be true to herself than to pretend to be something she's not. So those are my top faves. And they were really good episodes. Now, let's talk about the season finale episode, which is entitled DeVille Wears Puppies. Now, it's a two-parter. Normally, each episode would be like 15 or 12 minutes, and then it'd be another episode of a different plot. Well, this one is a two-parter. And it's basically, the beginning of the episode shows DeVille at Clarissa's house. She has come in to talk to Clarissa's owner. And then we find out that she's also at the other next-door neighbor's house. And, well, Constantine is his name, which I thought that was pretty interesting. I just realized that Constantine's a character from a series that I like on the DC Legend of Tomorrow. He's like the character who gets rid of demons and stuff. He's really a cool character. Anyway, so now Cruella's trying to do the things to do to, like, under siege. The first thing that they do to the puppies is they kind of turn up the heat. That's stage one. Then they cause a drought by cutting off their water supplies. Then they starve out the puppies by getting rid of their ability to eat because they took their food. And the final stage was to cut them off and turn off the power by running her car into a pole, which probably wasn't that difficult for someone like Cruella, who's crazy with driving. And so at first the parents were all like, we're going to call Pearl, which is actually a horse who's like one of the policeman's horses. But they used a dog whistle to stop that from happening so that they couldn't call for help. And so then Cruella manages to get into the house by using... because these two ones think that Hunter is Mr. Funny Face, they used this hole that Diesel had made, and they were taken, and so then she kind of scares them into the hole where her guards are waiting at the end of the hole to abduct the puppies. And so they abduct the puppies. Meanwhile, the parents are trying to fend them off, but they get defeated by Cruella, and it's all bad. And Dolly and Dylan are just running to help the puppies because the parents are like, you have to protect the puppies while we defend against Cruella, which they don't win. And so that is basically how the first part ends, with them being captured by Cruella and Cruella taking them all to a boat. Now, I thought that this next part of the beginning of the next episode was interesting because, Clarissa's been kind of a jerk the entire series, a stuck-up pup that I just don't like. But right away she's like, no dog should ever be treated like that, and she tries to stop Cruella, but she doesn't succeed, and in the end she ends up like holding on to the car, and that's kind of funny. Anyway, so they get Pearl, Dolly and Dylan, that is, get Pearl to kind of follow the crate, because they realize that since they put all the puppies inside of a crate, that means that they're taking them to the port. And here's what I thought was interesting. So, basically, Hunter was helping his aunt this whole time, but he didn't realize that in order for the fur coat to be made, the dogs had to be killed. He's like, wait, you didn't tell me that you were going to kill them. She's like, well, fur isn't removable. He's like, you're a monster. And then she says, like, thank you. So Hunter gets tossed onto the boat too because he doesn't want his aunt to do this. So she's like, puts him in a cage as well. So Dolly and Dylan are there, and also another character that ends up being taken onto the boat is this fox, which is a pretty cool character in the series. I like his character. He's funny. And there's also a rat and a squirrel. The fox is named Fergus, and he's a really sly fox. He even has part of his teeth are like gold, and I thought that was really funny. So now Fergus pretends to be one of those fox collared neck things, and it's up to him, and Hunter's changed his mind, and they're all trying to stop Cruella before she ends up destroying the puppies. But here comes Dolly and Dylan, and they get their parents free, and now they are ready to fight back against Cruella and defeat her. But can they actually defeat her? Will everything turn out okay? Well, you're gonna have to watch Disney Plus in order to find that out, because this series is really something I don't really want to spoil. I like it a lot, and I like the characters, and yeah, I like all the puppies. As I said before, Dolly is my favorite puppy, but I also really like a lot of the other characters, and I was really surprised that Clarissa actually cared enough to try and stop Cruella, because Clarissa's been kind of a jerk the entire series, but hey, that was sweet. And then Hunter, he changed his mind too. He was like, no, you can't kill the dogs. I thought that you could just remove the fur without killing the dogs. Nope, that's not a thing. So he changed his spots, turn of phrase there, and he wanted to help. So I hope that he can help. I hope that everything turns out okay. Of course, I've seen what happens, but if you want to find out what happens, you gotta watch it on Disney Plus. So, I think that is showing great creativity. And I've reviewed Amphibia, Big Sea Greens, and 101 Dalmatian Street. And I think that everything has been fun. I love cartoons, and I think that the creators and the voice actors and the directors and the artists all deserve props for making these fabulous shows that you grow up with your children, and that you grow up with just as you discover them on your own, because adults should like cartoons too, not just children. And I think that these fantastic 3 shows, Big Sea Greens, Amphibia, and 101 Dalmatian Streets, all have great cast people behind them, and I can't wait to see more. I hope that they continue to have more seasons and continue to bring out great episodes and great little storylines. But until then, I'm going to continue to discover new and great cartoons. That is why I think that next week, we should discuss more cartoons. But since we're getting into talking to adults here, let's show them a show that is cartoon, but for adults. And when I say that, I'm talking about anime. Now, when I watch anime, I watch dubbed, but there's also subbed, which basically means like they talk in Japanese, but you have to read the subtitles. Since I'm such a slow reader, I can't really watch those and enjoy the show, so that's me, but you could probably be a fast reader and enjoy the subbed. But I'm just going to pick out 4 shows that I love to watch on either Adult Swim or online and discuss them. And they'll be a lot of fun to talk about. I hope that after you are done watching next week's episode, you'll want to try an anime, because animes are awesome. They're not just anime. They start out as manga, which are basically like comic books, and they're really cool. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this new episode of the GSMC Television Podcast, brought to you by GSMC Podcast Network. And I hope you will like and subscribe every future episode and come back for more. Until then, have a great week, and I'm wishing you the best. Remember to wear a mask and stay safe. Have a great time, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Television Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.